morning. How y'all doing today? Y'all got me right before I was finna start these projects. I've got a lot going on. I've got these shovels and these tools, and I'm trying to dig a hole to put a post in. I'm trying to dig around my garden, and I'm also trying to dig out some weeds. They're all 3 different projects, and they require different tools. And even one project, digging the hole, I think I'm actually going to have to use 2 tools. And also, digging around the garden, I think I'm going to have to use a couple of them as well. It's challenging. And well, let me just explain. So this is a post hole digger. What you actually do is you pick it up, and it's got a little weight to the bottom, and you drop it down, and you pull it out like this, and you pick up whatever it is, the dirt down there, and you move it out of the hole. You keep doing it until, you get your hole deep enough. I've just got a regular spade shovel that if I'm trying to dig something maybe wide or kind of deep, you just stick it in there. It's got kind of a pointed end to it, so it makes it a little bit easier. Also, I can use my foot right here to really push it in there so I don't have to use too much effort. I've got just a regular shovel, and you see it's flat, so if I try to do the same thing with this one, oh my goodness, it'll wear you out. This one is actually used when you're trying to scrape the top grass off of something. You're trying to smooth something out. It's real helpful then. This one right here, it's a pickaxe. It's got this real sharp end on this side that allows you to break up roots. It allows you to even break up rocks. And this side, it helps me in the garden when I could just use the weight of it just to get some out of there. See? It makes everything much easier. And I also have this small one. If I'm trying to plant a new plant, I don't need those big things really. I can use this one just to dig down the bottom, just to move whatever dirt or compost is there, just to be able to put my plant in there. These are all 5 different tools, and I've got to be able to use the right tool for the right project, because if I don't, either it's not going to work or it's going to be much harder than it should be. Do y'all ever have projects that you all, if you use this tool versus that tool, like a crayon versus a pencil, or maybe a book bag versus your arms? I've been there. We all have those projects. And the most important thing is to do what? Make the wise choice. So this month, we're going to talk about wisdom. What is wisdom? Let me show it to you right here. Finding out what to do and doing it. Finding out what to do and doing it. You have to do some digging sometimes. Yeah, either you gotta read and try to find out for yourself, or even if you have to go even further to go to an expert that either has done it before or knows exactly how to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's the part of digging. You gotta dig around and be able to get the right answer or get the right way to do something. But once you've dug around, once you've gotten the right answer, if this is the shovel I'm supposed to be using with this spade in, somebody's told me this is what you need. Make sure you use this one. And if I get home and use this one, No need to wonder why I don't get the results that I'm looking for. No wonder why it's harder. It could be like that in life at times. Our parents tell us, don't do this. Make sure you don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do this. And we always hear all the don't. We think, oh my goodness, what can I do? It's actually helpful. Because oftentimes, and I mean often, we always looking to do something the way that we think it's the easiest. Or we think that it's going to be the fastest way. When oftentimes that's really not the wise choice. And when we told to use this tool and we decide to use another tool, we find ourselves wondering why it's taking so long. We find ourselves wondering why we can't get it done. We find ourselves wondering why it's failing. Or we find ourselves wondering why it just doesn't seem like it'll happen. Either making friends or cleaning our room. My mom used to always tell me to clean my room, and it's a certain way to do it. If you don't do it that way, same way like cleaning the kitchen. If I sweep the floor first, my goodness. What happens when I've cleaned off the counter and washed the dishes? I got to go back and do the same thing again. Wisdom, finding out what to do and what, and doing it. Make sure you're doing it the same way that you was told to do. But the start of it is to dig. To try to find out how to do it. Oftentimes with God, He wants us to know He's the only way. Oftentimes He allows us to try many other ways and allow us to stump our toe, to smash our finger and to bump our head, so that we remember that He's the only way. He tries our heart many times and wants to know that we really, really believe that He's the only way, giving us much rope to, as they say, to hang ourselves. But not really to hang ourselves, but that we find out and look back and say, you know what, I probably should have, I really should have done it the way God asked me to do it. You could be wondering, well, how do I get wisdom? So glad you asked. Before I tell you, I don't know if y'all saw last Sunday. Man, did you see that choir? Did you hear it? Oh my goodness. Y'all didn't? Just take a minute and just listen.
bow your heads for the word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for being so loving, so true, and so forgiving. We come to you today recognizing your greatness and mercy. We love and worship you. We ask that you be with us today and always. Bless us today and send your Holy Spirit to direct us so that we worship you in spirit and in truth. Bless all who have gathered here today. We also ask that you bless the sick and everyone in need of prayer. Bless this earth as a whole and help us to do your will to help make it a better place by putting you first in our lives.
Oh, I got into it. I'm sorry. I got into it. This is holy ground. So beautiful. Absolutely marvelous. Wondrous. Just warm my heart. Let me get back to the lesson because I might not even finish the lesson for worshiping with these kids. So marvelous. So marvelous. So, what was I talking about? The memory verse? Check it out. Here it is right here. James chapter 1, verse 5. If you want to know where you're going to find wisdom, get wisdom, you got to ask an all-wise God. That means he knows all the wisdom, has all the wisdom to spare. And guess what you'll find out about it? Tell you what, right finger there, echo buttons on. If any of you need wisdom, you should ask God for it. He will give it to you. God gives freely to everyone and doesn't find fault. James chapter 1, verse 5. Echo buttons off. God gives it to you freely if you ask for it. Now, if you say, hey, I'm going to do it my way, then you don't need his wisdom. Or you're telling them that you don't. You'll find out later on that you actually do. Take it from me. But when you ask, he doesn't say, well, man, you know what? You put yourself in this situation. You get out first. Then I'll give you wisdom. He don't find fault. He says, you know what? I knew you needed me the whole time anyway. I was just waiting for you to ask. And he gives it to us freely. Freely, what does that mean? It means over and over and over and over and over and over again abundantly. In all situations. With friends to choose. What to do, when to do it, how to do it, what tools to use. In every aspect of our life. We have to believe that God's wisdom is not something that we carry around in church and we leave it at the door when we go out. It's actually something that he allows us to be able to take with us wherever we may go. And it's absolutely, positively helpful. It is necessary. So, if this month we're going to talk about wisdom the entire time, then I'll let you know. It's worth digging for. You all about to go back to school, and you're going to have to make some wise choices. I hope that you all can find out what to do and do it. I hope that you all can want to find out what to do and want to do it. But I've got a story so that you all see that I don't have to wait till I'm Mr. Elwood age to be able to go find wisdom. I could find it at a young age. Y'all got time. I'm not going to put y'all to work. I really would because I like to have some more hands. But just sit down and I'll be back and we'll talk about it. So are you all ready to do some searching and digging? So in Luke chapter 2, verse 41 through 52, we hear a story about Jesus being with his earthly mother and father, Mary and Joseph. And they were going back to Jerusalem for the Passover. Well, the Passover is a spiritual celebration of what God did for the Israelites way, way, way back in time. Do you remember when they were in Egypt and they were in bondage and God brought them out by the 10 plagues and crossed the Red Sea? Yeah. And smite the Egyptians. Do y'all remember that night that they took the Passover lamb and they put the blood on the doorposts and the lintels? And the death angel passed through all those houses that had the blood on it. So it killed the firstborn of all the Egyptians and didn't harm any of the Israelites because they had the blood on the door. And Pharaoh then sent the Israelites away and also gave them some stuff on the way out. Each year, the Israelites commemorated with celebrations of worship to the same God that delivered them then that still reign today. Wherever they are, you name the city, they actually travel back to Jerusalem during that Feast of the Passover. What they find themselves doing is they go back in large groups. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, great-grandparents, friends. Everybody makes the trip back. Well, that's what happened way back then. However, they lived much closer together back then. We're all spread out today. So what happened, they all traveled and they worshiped during the Passover. Well, after the Passover was over, the same way they came in, they left out. So Mary, Joseph, everybody else, they left out. So in the trip leaving, cousins are playing with cousins, siblings are playing with siblings, so on and so forth. And it's many days' journey. So Mary and Joseph went 3 days. And they just noticed that Jesus was not with them. How that happened, I don't know. I don't know about you all, but when I used to play in my room, what are you doing in there? Nothing. You're doing something. Your parents check on you. I don't know why in the world Mary and Joseph didn't check on Jesus for 3 days. They did. So they did what any other good parent would do. They would search for their child. So they went back to Jerusalem and searched all around for him. They searched and searched and searched and searched. I'm sure they probably went to the places that they think a 12-year-old kid would be, right? He wasn't. What do you think he was? Kids are smart. He was in the temple with all the other religious leaders that were reading the scriptures. Well, what he was doing, he was listening to them, but he was also teaching them about the scriptures. They were amazed at how smart he was, how much wisdom he had concerning these scriptures. So when Mary and Joseph got to Jesus, Mary says, why have you done this, Jesus? Why have you left us like this? You knew we was worried about you. Jesus tells Mary, did you know I had to be about my Father's business? He knew he was sent here for that reason. Now, it says Mary hid those things in her heart, meaning that she remembered them in many different circumstances throughout her life that made her reference back to what he said. What does that mean for us? Jesus could have been at the arcade. He could have, there wasn't any arcades back then, but he could have been doing many of the normal things. Because you know Mr. Edward got lost in the toy aisle. You can't take him to the store as a kid. He'll wander off. Jesus didn't wander off. He grabbed hold to the most important thing. Wisdom. What if we did the same thing? Are we wondering about what we're going to miss out on? What do y'all think Jesus missed out on? He gave us an example. Oh, but my friends, guess what? It's fine. When you need to make the wise choice, you think you're going to be able to make it? What if you're not even presented with that situation altogether because you've searched for wisdom? Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that we could probably not even have to worry about because we did what was right beforehand. Is that ever happened to you? Somebody tell you to clean up your room. Somebody tell you to, excuse me, do your homework. And guess what happens? I'm going to do what I want to do. And then when it comes time to go outside and play, go to the store, then we crying and snotting because we can't go. When we very well could have made the wise choice a long time ago. Remember, wisdom is what? Finding out what you should do, and most importantly, doing it. How do we get wisdom? We pray. We ask God for it. And we believe that he's going to give it to us. And that belief makes us be able to, whatever it is that we thought we should do, somebody maybe told us what we should do that wasn't right. Our friends are always going to tell us something. But they're not going to stay up at nighttime if you make a wrong choice, are they? They're not going to lose no sleep if you happen to have something bad to you because you followed their instructions. So you don't want to take them instructions. They don't have any equity into it. What's equity? Yeah. They didn't put anything in you that they're expecting a return out of. God's put us here. He created us for what? His glory. He wants it out of us. So remember, it's worth it to search for wisdom. And what is wisdom? Finding out what you should do and doing it.